Hey Tanya, it's Maria. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how to film this for you to where you can actually see what I'm trying to do here. So I have some polymer clay. This is my big thing that I got from Amazon. It has, a ton of polymer clay that comes in it. Maybe 30 bucks from Amazon. It also comes with a bunch of little tools. But really, for this project, you just need the tool, like the hands. And you could maybe use like some little tiny Play-Doh rolling pins. And actually, a really helpful thing to have would be, they're little like, kind of cookie cutter things. They're miniature things for clay. And I would get, like for me, we did circles. So I used the circle ones and I have them somewhere. I just have no idea how long it's going to take me to find them. So when the clay comes in little like blocks like this. Some brands are harder, like more tough than others initially. Once you start working with the clay, it softens and it's really easy to use. I would have for the kids like tons of wet wipes because the colors can start to, they won't be as pure because on your, like I have a little mat here from a plastic mat, and you'd have to wipe that down and wipe the kids' hands down it after every use. So I would decide your color palette for the whole thing, like only use the colors that you'd want in the end result. So you can tell the kids, you have an opportunity to make something completely, totally unique. It's like a fingerprint. It's going to be your own design. But it's real tricky, but I'm going to teach you how to do it. Because even though, have you ever used polymer clay before? No? Well, guess what? This is super fun, and I'm going to show you what it creates. And so I probably have a few done already to show them, and they can't believe that they're going to actually do it. So from these, when you take off a piece of it and cut them off, it's a little bit hard to work with. And for them, what I would do is take these little bars apart and have a bunch of, what I did initially is I took these and I pressed them and I rolled them into balls. And that way the kids can kind of easily choose their colors and just this kind of rolling. And it's super easy. And that way you're going to say, okay, you get to choose 3 or 4 different balls. I wouldn't use too many just because it'll kind of lose effect. And make sure you have colors that would work, fairly well together. Always have like white and black in there because it can tone down. Like some kids only wanted neon. I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And they ended up looking pretty good if you add white or black to it to kind of tone it down a bit. So once they get to pick the ball, you can either have them do it or I'm gonna probably have them do it and just say, you know how on Play-Doh you can make the little snakes? Let's go ahead and do that. So they can roll it, and they'll have their cute little snake like this, okay? So let's say they choose yellow. I've already done these. Green and blue. You can go ahead and just try that by themselves. So what I would do, you don't need super huge amounts of them because you're going to kind of put them together. So I would kind of cut them or have them cut them to like equal lengths. And say, okay, so now we're going to do some cool stuff. So you can take like the 3 of them and kind of put them together like this. For good measure, I'm just going to add, well, I'll do a different one with white by itself. Okay, so you've got like these 3 kind of sitting, and it does get sticky. But then I was going to tell them you just want to twist it, just kind of like this. And already it's starting to look cool. Okay? So then maybe once it gets to this state, I would say, okay, well, let's just kind of roll it a little bit and see what happens when we roll it. Well, look at this. It's already one piece, and it kind of looks like a candy cane. So then I'd say, well, let's do something cool with it. Do you know how a snake coils up? And they might go, yeah. And I said, well, let's make yours look kind of like a snake. So again, already, it's kind of looking cool. I let some of the kids actually do their pieces like this, and it had a little more texture to it. But if you want uniformity, you can kind of even just press this down. And kind of, the more you press it, I mean, look, it already is having kind of a cool little shape. So let's say it gets to the, so you have to decide how thick you want it. You want it somewhat substantial. I would say this is probably thinner than I would like it. I would make it a little bit thicker than that. And if I had to, I might say, ooh, there's a lot of yellow poking through there. You could add, you know, an extra set of colors to this as well, but I'm just going to use this color to start with. So this maybe, like, I don't super love that. I don't think that's very interesting. This is a little more interesting, but even there still, you can say, well, do you want to see what would happen if you rolled it up again? So maybe you could roll it like this and like do the snake thing again. So now we're getting a little more marbly here. Okay, you can still do a little twist, and so the colors will get, the more you work with it, I will say, the more convoluted the colors become. Now this is super cool. So you can, again, kind of twist it up like this. You can do it in a ball, and then that could be kind of, once you see, like, look how pretty that is. It's kind of like a marble, right? So then you can press it down, and even, so at this point, if I had my little handy dandy cutter, and I got one out of my cabinet, obviously it's too big. You can make, if you only have a few kids, you can make them big, which would be, you know, equally, like I had 60 kids, I think, when I did it, because we did the whole first grade. So, I was enough for them to do, like, maybe it was 1 inch, maybe a little more than 1 inch little discs that I ended up making. Like something like this, I think is super cool. Now, I'll let each kid make 2. And you can look at the back and see, and you can ask them, hey, which side do you like better? And sometimes, what I would do too is I would take a picture of the kid holding their little disc that they made. Okay, so once this is done, if this is the way you like it, put it aside, have them do another one, or you can do double the initial clay and have them do 2 from those colors. So it depends on how much time you have to work with them. If you have a short amount of time, let them have more clay initially and do 2 discs from that, and they get to pick their favorite one. Or if you need to use both, you can do that. Okay, so let me show you what happens when you add white to it. So let's do the same thing with some white. And I'm going to take some of these colors out. So already it's given a little more definition. Look how pretty that is. And look, they become so impressed with themselves. I mean, I'm not even going to go beyond this because this is kind of cute. You could, I mean, look at that. I mean, it's not round, but you get the idea. Well, let's do one more. We'll do one more twist. And you can even just twist it just like this. And let's do round. And then a push. Now look how pretty. So that's just adding 1 extra white to it. And it just gives a little more effect. Okay. So then you would follow the manufacturer's instructions for baking them. You don't want to go usually above 225, 250. And there's a ton of tutorials on YouTube. I have burnt these before. It doesn't smell good. And I mean, and it's really the high temp. It's not really the time that burns them. It's the high temp. So you just kind of have to take your time and do them. But they're pretty. So they become hard after the recommended, time. And it's something that you could do a whole tray of and, walk away from for an hour. Then once they cool, you could cover them with Mod Podge. I had I can't remember where I put it. I'll send you a link to it. And you can probably even look up a polymer clay glaze on Amazon or Michael's. You can use your coupons for all this stuff too at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or whatever you guys have. So once they are glazed, the colors really become bright. It almost looks like some sort of like a little piece of marble or something. It's really pretty. And then you can put them in whatever shape. Like you could do them in the shape of a fleur-de-lis. I mean, we did a cross. It was super easy. So anyway, so that's kind of my little how-to on the polymer clay. If you have any questions, call me. Love you. Bye.